Hiatal hernia syndrome is a pretty miserable experience, and it frequently starts with GERD or acid reflux. And prior to, well, recent decades, what's been quote unquote known is that acid reflux worsens with advancing age. Yet, we're seeing an unfortunate trend in that younger and younger people are suffering with acid reflux. So it used to be 50s and 60s, and now we're seeing an increase in a younger age group in 30s and 40s. And why is important? Because when you have acid reflux, it means that you have pressure on your stomach, forcing that acid up into your esophagus. That creates irritation to your esophagus, which long-term can lead to ulcers, a condition called Barrett's esophagus, gastritis. So all of that is compromising digestion. Plus, it can lead to strictures of the esophagus, having trouble swallowing, regurgitation of food. Also, it affects your diaphragm, so you can have shortness of breath, and so you have this breathless feeling, which is exhausting because you can't get air effortlessly. Also, you can get into having heart palpitations because the stomach and diaphragm elevate and literally get in the way of the heart. That's one of the reasons, so it's kind of a mechanical association. But there's also a nervous system association because your vagus nerve, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit later, travels to your chest and your heart and your esophagus and your stomach and all your digestive organs. And when you have acid reflux, it irritates the vagus nerve, and there's an interplay, there's a reflex between your stomach and your heart, and your esophagus and your heart. So literally irritating your stomach with acid reflux, irritating your esophagus with acid reflux, all can lead to heart issues. And it's not heart disease, but it's definitely irritation and stress placed upon the heart, which over time can lead to increased risk of heart attack. So that's a lot, I know, but that interplay is very important to understand, because now we're going to back it all the way up to how does this typically start? And it starts with acid reflux. And now we're seeing it in younger and younger people in our population. So that means they have that more decades of time that they're going to be insulted with these other symptoms that can really change your life. I mean, it can really debilitate you. If you imagine shortness of breath, and then associated with that, people get panic attacks and anxiety. So it's this complex of symptoms. That's why I call it Hiatal Hernia Syndrome, because there's up to 20 different symptoms associated with it. But it does tend to start with that acid reflux. And you know that, oh, I'll just take a Tums, take something over the counter that seems to handle it. We need to get to the root cause and address this early, especially the younger you are. Everybody should address it, but when it's happening younger and younger, we have to look at why and really make alterations. So let's look at some of the reasons why. Obesity is one, and of course we all know that we're seeing obesity at younger ages, but why? It's due to poor diet. We have processed foods, we have high sugar in our diet, and the non-food, as I'll call it. So the ultra-processed food, a lot of chemicals in our food, it's not really food. And so what happens is our bodies aren't really designed to deal with these non-food items. And one of the things that happens is delayed gastric emptying. So gastric just refers to your stomach. So things just sit in your stomach longer, and that causes downstream a lot of irritation to your digestive tract. But that delayed gastric emptying puts a lot of pressure on your stomach, and you're getting that pressure can lead to reflux of acid, irritation of the esophagus, and all the other things that I just mentioned. The other part of our diet that's problematic, because we're eating this non-food items, and it's between 60 and 70% of our calories from teens to adults is of this ultra-processed food variety. So inherent in that is low fiber, and fiber is very, very important in our diet so that we can get good motility of our stomach and our intestines. But most importantly, it's feeding the good bacteria in your colon, and that keeps your immune system strong. It keeps inflammation down, all the beautiful things that we want to have a healthy digestive tract, not to mention a healthy immune system and balanced hormones. So fiber is very key. I recently did a video on that, so you could probably just type in the keyword fiber, and I really do a deep dive in that. The other thing is our sedentary lifestyle. So many of us are just sitting most of the day, and you need movement, you need exercise, because that actually helps with motility. It helps with digestion. When people say, after a meal, take a walk, even if it's just a 10-minute walk, and you're not pounding the pavement and running, but you're taking a sort of a slow to medium walk just to get the circulation going, and there's a lot to be said for that. Also associated with the poor diet is that we get this abdominal fat, and it's usually of the viscera, which means your organs. So it's fat infiltrating into the organs. Maybe you've heard of fatty liver, but fat can infiltrate the abdominal organs, and that also increases what's called within the abdomen, intra-abdominal pressure, and that pressure can cause acid reflux and lead to hiatal hernia syndrome. So all of these things are coming together. Also lifestyle-wise, so we're looking at all the reasons why we're seeing acid reflux in younger and younger people. So lifestyle-wise, we've got high stress and not adequate sleep. And what happens there is that when you're under a lot of stress, you're in what's called fight or flight. Your nervous system is in fight or flight, or the sympathetic part of your nervous system. And that's not the brother to the sympathetic nervous system, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is all about rest, digest, and relax. So when you get enough sleep and you're not under stress, so it was rest, digest, relax, and that's what we want. We want to be able to digest well, we want to get good rest, and we want to relax. So if you have a lot of stress and you're not getting enough sleep, you're really compromising your parasympathetic nervous system, which means you're compromising your ability to digest. And the vagus nerve is your cranial nerve, which kind of runs the parasympathetic nervous system. So you're compromising its ability. What's important about that? Well, it does a lot, but one thing that the vagus nerve does, which is very intimately tied into acid reflux, is that it controls the tone of a sphincter. So sphincter is just another word for a valve, and your esophagus, which is the tube that connects your mouth to your stomach, it has two sphincters, two valves, an upper and a lower. So they call the lower one LES, for lower esophageal sphincter. So it's right around the level of your diaphragm. And what these sphincters do, they're very intelligent, is that they're closed, and then they sense food or drink is coming. They open, allow that to pass through, and then close again. And you need the tone of that sphincter, just like good muscle tone, you need the tone of that sphincter to be adequate to prevent anything from going the wrong way, right? Food and drink should just go down. Nothing should reflux back up, whether it's acid, food, etc. And so the tone of this LES, lower esophageal sphincter, is very tied into how well your vagus nerve is functioning. And as we mentioned, so the stress, the poor sleep, the bad diet, also smoking and vaping really decrease the tone and irritate the vagus nerve. Also, alcohol relaxes the tone of this LES. So all of that is contributing to acid reflux. What else did I want to go over with you? I think that was mostly what I wanted to review. I had this idea, this came to me, that are we seeing a shift? Are we seeing this happen in younger people? And, research and sort of things that are sort of commonly occur. It's like, acid reflux worse with age, hiatal hernia worse with age, and there's certain things that are sort of kind of known, right? But I was like, is there a trend? And sure enough, there was a trend. I'm like, that makes sense to me, because we're seeing, unfortunately, that our health status is declining instead of improving, and that younger and younger, I mean, you've got children with diabetes, children with obesity. It's frightening, actually, but these are all things that you have control over. You know, your diet, sedentary lifestyle, improving your sleep quality, et cetera, sort of being more mindful of your stress. So if I wanted to make this video because I wanted you to know that if you or someone you know is, you know, popping the Tums, you know, it's like, oh, I've got that heartburn, you know, let me just take something. This is a signal. Like, don't wait. Let's get to the root cause of why, and not get to the point where now you're on the medication associated with acid reflux, which is called a PPI, a proton pump inhibitor, because those medications have a lot of dangerous side effects, and it'd be so lovely to get to the root cause before you need that. Not that you can't solve it if you're already on a PPI, because we do that all the time. But how nice, because I love my audience, I love my subscribers, and you're wonderful, and you're caring, and you know, you tell me about people in your life. And so I thought this is a really good opportunity to spot those people in your life who are really using these over-the-counter medications, and give them a heads up about some things they can do. And then, of course, if they need more, you know, my team and I are here for them and for you. So if you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We're definitely trying to increase our subscribers so that more people can get exposed to this content, because that's how the algorithm works. And I do appreciate you very much, and we'll talk soon.